Someone's outside my house blasting other music. I don't know if that's getting picked up or not, but that's all right. So that was a fiddle tune, first fiddle tune I ever learned, called June Apple. When I first learned it, I was not very good at playing it, as you can imagine, but it's one of my favorite tunes, and I just find it really enjoyable to play and to listen to. So coming up, I got a bunch of ballads. I think of myself primarily as a ballad singer and less than a fiddle player, so that's what most of tonight's set is going to be. Let me check my set list. All right. So the first song that I'm going to sing is called Little Margaret. Most of these songs are, as you can kind of guess, passed down through oral traditions, and I learned this version of the song Little Margaret from a woman named Sheila K. Adams, who, legend has it, is one of the last living ballad singers who learned completely through family tradition. She came from a ballad singing family, and she learned these songs from her mother, who learned them from her mother, all the way back, however many generations. And she is still alive and working today as a teacher and storyteller and oral history preservationist, I suppose. And this is one of my favorite songs that she sings, so I hope I can do it some justice. Little Margaret sits in her high-ho chair, combing her long yellow hair. She saw sweet William and his new-made bride riding up the road so near. She threw down her ivory comb. She threw back her long yellow hair, said, I'll go and bid farewell and never more go there. It was late in the night. Sweet William was fast asleep. Little Margaret, she all dressed in white, appeared at his bed feet. She said, how do you like your silk white pillow? Tell me, how do you like your sheets? And how do you like that pretty fair lady that's lying in your arms asleep? Farewell, I like my silk white pillow. Farewell, do I like my sheets? But better I love that pretty fair lady that stands at my bed feet. He bid his servant boy to go He said, "Is little Margaret in her room? Or is she in the hall? No, little Margaret's in the cold, cold ground with her face turned to the wall." He said, "Can I kiss her ivory cheeks? And can I kiss her chin? And can I kiss her cold clay lips? For I never will again. No, I never will again." Bit of a sad ending there. I will say all the songs that I'm going to sing tonight do involve death, whether it's, of natural causes or otherwise. But the next song that I'm going to sing, I kind of learned it from Sheila K. Adams as well. I actually learned this one originally from a woman named Hetty West, who was a ballad singer during the folk revival period in the 60s, just from a recording of her. And then I was very lucky to see Rhiannon Giddens, who's one of just the premier folk country artists, incredible banjo player, incredible singer and fiddle player. I saw her perform this song, and it was kind of at the peak of the border migration crisis a few years ago. And she said something about it that really struck me, that the first verse mentions coming to a new country and, leaving behind your family and the people you love in search for more resources, in this case specifically land. And she said, that's kind of the root of all country music, is this story of movement and, a search for more resources and these whole movements of people. And that's why it has remained the music sort of the people, because it continues to move along with them. And so that it made me see this song in a whole new light. And it really is one of my favorites, as all of these songs are, really. So this song is called Pretty Sorrow, and I try to sing it as frequently as I can. When I first came to this country in 1849, I saw many fair lovers, but I never saw mine. I looked all around me and saw eyes alone, and me a poor stranger a long way from home. At the foot of yon mountain, there lies a deep snow. But it's not this long journey I'm a-fearing to go. No, it's not the journey or the debts that I owe, but it's leaving my darling, my pretty Sorrow. Fare thee well, my own mother. Hang on, I missed a verse. We're gonna back up. all these songs, you know, they follow stories, and if the story gets mixed up and it's out of order, then the whole thing doesn't make sense. All right. Take 2. When I first came to this country in 1849, I saw many fair lovers, but I never saw mine. I looked all around me and saw eyes alone, and me a poor stranger a long way from home. At the foot of yon mountain, lonesome place where the small birds do whistle, their notes do increase. 'Twas there I met Sarah, her ways so complete that I don't know a better pastime than to be with my sweet. But my love, she won't have me, as I understand. She wants a freeholder, and I have no land. I cannot maintain her on silver and gold, nor the other pretty fine things that my love's house can hold. Fare thee well, my own mother, farewell, sister, too. I am going to ramble this wide world through, and when I get tired, I'll lay down and cry, and I'll think on pretty Sarah with a tear in my eye. If I was a pretty bird with wings and could fly right to my love's window, at the eve I'd draw nigh. In her lily white arms all night I would lie, and then in the morning away I would fly. At the foot of yon mountain, there lies a deep snow, but it's not this long journey I'm a-fearing to go. No, it's not the journey or the debts that I owe, but it's leaving my Second time's the charm. All right. I'm gonna, let's see. Checking the notes. So I'm gonna bring us back way further to at least the 1500s, if not earlier. So a lot of these ballads came to America by way of colonialism, as many things have. But these came from the British Isles and some of them reach as far back as the 1200s, and we can trace them all the way to Scandinavia, specifically Norway and Sweden. Those people were trading with Scottish people at the port of Aberdeenshire, and they would bring songs with them and exchange both ways, and then eventually the Scots-Irish people settled in the Appalachian Mountains, where many of these songs kind of remained hidden until they were discovered by government folklorists. But anyways, one of the sort of shorthand tricks that we can use to know when a song is that old is when it has these elements of really intense old magic in them. And these songs that have these more elements of like high strangeness in them, generally that's a clue that it has Scandinavian roots because they were Christianized much later than the British Isles were, so they held on to the magic a little bit longer. So eventually the songs got translated, got all mixed up, and so I present to you what they sound like in parts of the US today. So the first one I'm going to sing is called The Greenwood Sidey, and it's also known as The Cruel Mother. It does involve infanticide. And apparently back in the 1600s, infanticide was a big problem because it was illegal for women to have a baby out of wedlock. And she would be hanged or, sentenced to death in some way if she were to do that. And it was also illegal for a woman to marry a man of a lower station than her. So we have this woman who falls in love with a man of a lower station, has a baby while she is not married to him, and she's going to die no matter what. And the punishment for killing your babies with a witness was also to be hanged. So she then kills her babies, ends up dead herself, and her children were too young to be baptized, so they reappear to her as ghosts cursed to walk the earth, and she asks them what her punishment must be. And there's a little bit of magic involved along the way. So this is the Greenwood Sidey. There was a lady in the north, all alone and lonely, oh. She fell in love with her father's clerk, down by the Greenwood Sidey, oh. She leaned her back against an oak, all alone and lonely, oh. At first it bent and then it broke, down by the Greenwood Sidey, oh. She dressed herself in scarlet red, all alone and lonely, oh, and wished to God she'd better been dead, down by the Greenwood Sidey, oh. She leaned her back into a thorn, all alone and lonely, oh, and there she had two pretty babes born, down by the Greenwood Sidey, oh. She took a penknife long and sharp, all alone and lonely, oh. She pierced it through their their tender hearts down by the greenwood side, oh. She buried them under a marble stone, all alone and lonely, oh, and prayed to God she'd never be known down by the greenwood side, oh. She put the penknife on the green, all alone and lonely, oh. The more she washed, more blood was seen down by the greenwood side, oh. Oh, babes, if you were mine, all alone and lonely, oh, I'd dress you up in silk so fine down by the greenwood side, oh. Oh, mother, when we were yours, all alone and lonely, oh, you dressed us neither in silk nor fine down by the greenwood side, oh. Oh, babes, please tell to me, all alone and lonely, oh, what I must suffer for the killing of thee down by the greenwood side, oh. First 7 long years on earth to dwell, all alone and lonely, oh, then 7 long years in the depths of hell down by the greenwood side, oh. Another lovely, happy tune. So the next song is much more, I guess, Americanized sounding than that one. So this song that I'm going to sing is called The Man from the North Country. It is a variant of a song called The Two Sisters, which tells the story of, 2 sisters whose dad kind of plays favorites and spoils the younger daughter and betroths her to a wealthy man. The older sister then gets jealous and throws her younger sister into the river, where her body is found by a miller who steals all of the jewelry from her fingers and uses her bones to build himself a fiddle, which he then plays at the older sister's wedding. And when he plays the fiddle, the younger sister comes back to life and sings the story of what happened to her. And so the whole town is present at this wedding, and they find the miller and the older sister guilty of murdering the younger sister, and they hang them both. And then finally, when justice has been served, the younger sister, who came back to life in the form of the fiddle, finally goes to heaven. So this version was collected in the Outer Banks by a couple named Frank and Ann Warner, and I'm going to be singing a couple of songs that they collected, and this is the first one up. There was an old man from the North Country, bow down. There was an old man from the North Country, bow down and balance me. There was an old man from the North Country, he had daughters 1, 2, 3. And I'll be true to you, my love, if you'll be true to me. He bought the youngest a silken hat, bow down. He bought the youngest a silken hat, bow down and balance me. He bought the youngest a silken hat, the eldest daughter couldn't stand that. And I'll be true to you, my love, if you'll be true to me. They walked down by the water's brim, bow down. They walked down by the water's brim, bow down and balance me. They walked down by the water's brim, the eldest pushed the younger one in and I'll be true to you, my love, if you'll be true to me. She floated down to the miller's dam, bow down. She floated down to the miller's dam, bow down and balance me. She floated down to the miller's dam, he pulled her body, true dry land. And I'll be true to you, my love, if you'll be true to me. And from her hand he took 5 rings, bow down. And from her hand he took 5 rings, bow down and balance me. And from her hand he took 5 rings, and then he pushed her in again. And I'll be true to you, my love, if you'll be true to me. They hung the miller on the gallows high, bow down. They hung the miller on the gallows high, bow down and balance me. They hung the miller on the gallows high, the eldest sister hung nearby. And I'll be true to you, my love, if you'll be true to me. And I'll be true to you, my love, if you'll be true to me. A jaunty tune that kind of belies its gruesome nature. Let me have some water. Okay, so I'm gonna sing another song that was collected by Frank and Ann Warner. They were actually from New York City, and they just traveled around collecting songs. And this one that I'm gonna sing was collected from a man named Yankee John Kalusha, who lived up in the North Country of upstate New York. He was from the Adirondacks. And actually a few of his recordings are on the Deliverance soundtrack, which I find really funny because we always kind of associate that, creepy banjo with the Deep South and the Appalachian Mountains. But, there's plenty of folk music in upstate New York as well. And so this song is called Springfield Mountain, and I've heard it said that all folk songs are true, but this one does appear to be about a real person who died of a snake bite sometime in the 1700s. So this is called Springfield Mountain. On Springfield Mountain there did dwell a likely youth who's known for well, Lieutenant Cushman's only son, a likely youth scarce 21. On Monday morning he did go down on the meadow for to mow. He mowed around till he did feel a poison serpent bite his heel. When he did feel that death-like wound, he laid his scythe down on the ground. To return home was his intent, crying aloud long as he went. His cries were heard both far and near, but none his friends there did appear, thinking that he some workman called, until at last there he did fall. Was in the year of 61 when this sad accident was done. Let this a warning be to all, to be prepared when God does call. Luckily, snake bites seem to be a little bit less of an issue these days, and hopefully people living up in the mountains can get, antibodies, antivenom, whatever they need. Hopefully that doesn't happen anymore. Let's see. What do we got next? It's so weird to not have a live audience that I can, get feedback from. Okay. All right. So I'm going to play a couple fiddle tunes. The first one I'm going to play is called Cranberry Rock. It was actually written by a fiddle, banjo, and guitar player from West Virginia named Burl Hammonds. He came from a folk music family living up in the mountains. And this is actually one of those situations where we know a little bit about where he would have learned this style of playing and writing music. Where he lived, there was an outpost of free Black people who had escaped slavery and were living in the mountains, playing music, playing the banjo. The banjo is an instrument from Africa that Black people in the U.S. modified as more materials became available and as they wanted to accompany themselves either singing or a style of percussive dance called flat-footing. And they would have interacted with the Hammonds family living in the same area. And Burl Hammonds played banjo in the style that was traditional for Black Mountain people to be playing in, that white banjo players were not playing in at that time. And so he would have written this fiddle tune to be played with what's known as a claw hammer banjo. And that's pretty common to hear these days, but it wasn't necessarily at the time. Anyways, long story short, he wrote this song called Cranberry Rock, which I'm going to play now. loud my foot stomping was, but I find it essential. So the second part of that song there is a tune called Billy in the Low Ground. Billy referring to William of Orange. So that song potentially dates all the way back to the 1500s, but I'm sure it sounded way different at the time. The Low Grounds referring to the lowlands of Holland, which is also, there's a ballad by that name. So that's a really, really old song that came to the U.S. The same way as all the other songs did. And they'd get paired up like that. The songs from the 1500s with songs from, the early 1800s, and everything's all mixed up together in the mountains, and I just love the way that stuff happens. So that tune I actually first heard from a man named John Specker, who I think was from Ithaca originally. He lives in Vermont now, but I saw him play that with his daughters at the Grassroots Festival in Trumansburg, and asked my wonderful fiddle teacher, Kit Fallon, who's a great Geneva-based fiddle player, asked her to help me figure it out, teach it to me, so, it's been filtered through a few times, and that's the way I like it. So I think I'd be a little remiss if I was trying to do this whole program of American songs without singing at least one cowboy song. So I'm gonna sing for y'all my favorite cowboy song, one of many favorite cowboy songs. Ooh, wrong pipe. Let's try that again. All right. So this song's in a bunch of Western movies also, so you may recognize it. Slightly different melody for the unaccompanied version, but if you recognize it, awesome. Oh, bury me not on the lone prairie. His voice came low and mournfully from the cold pale lips of a youth who lay on his dying bed at the close of day. He wasted time till on his brow the shadowed clouds were gathering now. He thought of his home and his friends all night as the cowboys gathered to see him die. I fancy I'll listen to the well-known word of the free wild wind and the song of birds. He thought of his home and the cottonwood tree and the songs he'd learned in his childhood hour. I often thought I'd be laid when I died near the green churchyard and the green hillside. By my father's grave there let me be. Oh, bury me not on the lone prairie. Oh, bury me not on the lone prairie, where the wild coyotes and the wind blows free, where the buffalo roam and the wind blows free. Oh, bury me not on the lone prairie. I want to be laid where my mother's prayers and sister's tears will mingle there, where my friends can come and weep o'er me. Oh, bury me not on the lone prairie. Oh, bury me not. And his voice fell there, and we heeded not his dying prayer in a narrow grave just 6 by 3. buried our boy on the lone prairie, where the dewdrops fall and the butterfly rest, where the wild blossoms bloom and the buried rest, where the buffalo roam and the wind blows free. Oh, bury me not on the lone prairie. Oh, bury me not on the lone prairie. His voice came low and mournfully from the cold, pale lips of a youth who lay on his dying bed at the close of day. There are many, many songs with, various kinds of burial instructions. Probably the most famous being St. James Infirmary Blues. But that, kind of falls into that same category of someone leaving instructions to be followed when they die and passed on in song, to the people who would be burying them. And unfortunately, in this case, he just got buried out there on the lone prairie. Let's see. Boop, boop. Only a couple left. So I also think I've been singing all these songs that don't necessarily have any authorship attributed to them. And there's debate of whether they were written by a single person or whether they were written collectively, or maybe they were written by one person and then added to over time and morphed and changed, and we just kind of lost track of who originally wrote them. But there are songs that enter the folk tradition through somebody who wrote them, and we can attribute authorship, but they're meant to be sung by whoever has learned them or whoever has access to them at the time. So the first one that I'm going to sing is called the West Virginia Mine Disaster. It was written as a commemorative song for a mine that exploded and caved in West Virginia in I think 1959. It was right before Richard Nixon. It was right before Richard Nixon became president. So that year. And there were, pretty much no labor laws protecting miners, and 99 people were killed in this accident. And their families were not going to get any compensation. They were paid in company scrip. They were not paid in money, so they pretty much owed their entire lives to the mining companies. And so their widows of these 99 families formed their own widows union and went on strike and refused to work until there was only 15 days left of coal above ground to power the entire country. And it forced Richard Nixon to sign a miners' protection law and got the widows and their families $200,000, which at the time was a lot of money. It got them, this huge sum of money to divide amongst themselves, and they used their union to start bonds for their children that were then left fatherless because of this mine disaster. Shout out to those women and to unions and to labor rights. That's what this song is about, and we're all still fighting for those things. So here we go. West Virginia Mine Disaster. I have to look at the words. It's a long song. So that's why my face is blue now. And so this was originally written by Jean Ritchie, who's kind of like the queen of the ballad singers. Say, did you see him going? It was early this morning. He passed by your houses on his way to the coal. He was tall, he was slender, and his dark eyes so tender. His occupation was mining, West Virginia his home. It was just before noon, I was feeding the children. Ben Mosley came running to bring us the news. Number 8 is all flooded, many men are in danger, and we don't know their number, but we fear they're all doomed. So I picked up the baby and left all the others, for to comfort each other and pray for our own. There's Timmy, 14, and there's John, not much younger. Soon their own time will come to go down the black hole. Now if I had the money to do more than just feed them, I'd give them good learning, the best could be found. And when they grew up, they'd be checkers and weighers, and not spend their life drilling dark underground. And it's what will I tell to my 3 little children? And what will I tell his dear mother at home? And what will I tell to my heart that's clear broken? My heart's surely dying since my darling is gone. Say, did you see him going? It was early this morning. He passed by your houses on his way to the coal. He was tall, he was slender, and his dark eyes so tender. His occupation was mining, West Virginia his home. Whew. Man. All right, I got one left, and then we will call it a night. So this is another one that was written originally as a pop song of the time in 1864, so peak Civil War time. It was written by a couple English guys as a sort of a seafaring song, but traveled across the Atlantic and became a pretty popular Civil War ballad, kind of telling the story of a sailor or a soldier who's gone off and doesn't know if he'll ever make it back. Yeah, so you can find a lot of versions of this song on YouTube that are like the pop version with like full orchestration and all that. But I just find the people's version, the folk version, so much more interesting. And I learned this version from the son of the collectors, Frank and Ann Warner, who I'd mentioned before. Their son has continued that tradition as it happens, and his name is Jeff Warner. So this is his version of Her Bright Smile Haunts Me Still. It's been a year since last we met. We may never meet again. I have struggled to forget, but the struggle was in vain. For her voice lives on the breeze, her spirit comes at will, in the midnight on the seas, her bright smile haunts me still. In the midnight on the seas, her bright smile haunts me still. I have sailed the falling sky. I have charted hazard's path. I have seen the storm arise like a giant in his wrath. Every danger I have known that a reckless life can fill, though her presence is now flown, her bright smile haunts me still. Though her presence is now flown, her bright smile haunts me still. At the first sweet dawn of light, when I gaze upon the deep, her form still greets my sight, while the stars their vigils keep. When I close my aching eyes, sweet dreams my memory fill, and from sleep when I arise, her bright smile haunts me still. And from sleep when I arise, her bright smile haunts me still. All right, that's it for me. We've completed the full hour. All right, I can't see who's tuning in. I'm not looking at the YouTube stream, but thank you all so much. Have a nice, relaxing night. I hope these songs didn't bum you out too much, and I'm gonna sign off now.